Okay, so let's start. I think Juliana is the only one that I don't know. I'm Dr. Maria Teresa Garrido. I'm the coordinator of the doctoral program. And it's a pleasure to have you, doctoral candidates, in this webinar. Thank you for doing this series. Thank you for sharing your knowledge. I think it's very valuable what you are going to share about your research and about the challenges that you are facing. So thank you for organizing this series. And well, Patrice will be the moderator of this session. And so Patrice, you take it from now on and you can introduce Candido and continue as planned.
Thank you, Maria Teresa. So good morning to everyone and good evening, good afternoon, wherever you're from joining us today. So today we have Candido Bardalez, and he's going to present his preliminary research today. So I'll just give a brief introduction about Candido, and then we can start the presentation. So Candido Bardalez is a sociologist from Belize and is a peace educator. He obtained his bachelor's degree at the University of Havana in Cuba and master's at University for Peace. Before pursuing a PhD, Candido worked in counseling and rehabilitation in a juvenile detention facility, a guidance counselor in secondary school, and counseling at the Ministry of Education in his native Belize. For his PhD research, Candido topics of interest include stakeholder engagement, community violence, and community participation in contextualizing peace education. And today he's going to present his PhD research at UPeace, which is ongoing. So over to you, Candido. And after the presentation, we can have a brief question and answer session from the participants who are joining us. So Candido, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Pratyush, and coordinator, Dr. Garrido. As you mentioned, my name is Candido Bardalez. I'm a doctoral student at the University for Peace. I'm from Belize, Central America. Today I will be presenting on contextualizing peace education, a lesson learned during COVID-19. Before I begin, I would like to thank my colleague, Pratyush and Dr. Garrido for organizing these webinars. First, I would like to clarify some key terms: community engagement, stakeholders, community violence, and gangs. Community engagement refers to the process of sharing of ideas among partners. During this process, these parties come together to share ideas and data, facilitate and create action plans. So stakeholders, from a research perspective, are those persons involved in or affected by the evaluation so that their needs can be addressed. Both people and institutions are stakeholders. Bearing this in mind, whenever this study refers to stakeholders, it envisions residents, activists, families, schools, businesses, faith-based organizations, and perpetrators, governmental and non-governmental agencies, and service providers living and working in community. Now, community violence is an interpersonal form of violence that usually takes place in public spaces. It includes, but not limited to, acts such as gang wars, homicides, terrorism, mass shootings, and the like. For the purpose of this study on community violence, the focus will be specifically on gang violence and homicide, since these are the most prevalent in Belize. Gangs, well, also known as street gangs, urban gangs, and criminal gangs. This refers to groups of young people and young adults who band together to form a semi-structured organization, primarily to engage in planned and profitable criminal behavior, organized violence, against rival street gangs. So this study is framed by post-development theory. This theory counteracts common notions of development, stating that development as a concept is based on Western ideals and colonization, plus presents a false impression of global North societies as ideal and desired, and global South societies as lacking and undesirable. It depends on highly technocratic institutions to resolve social problems. These institutions, such as multilateral agencies, utilize capitalist economic measurements and external assets to measure progress of social interventions. They also rely on development experts who bring preconceived ideas of what a community needs. So, what peace development theory does, however, is that it advocates for local knowledge and local solution. It makes a case that local people have facts, concepts, beliefs, and perceptions about the world around them. They have local notions of what living a good life or living in a good society means. They have long-standing views regarding sustainability and respect for humanity. Thus, we must seek to understand the ways they observe and reflect on the issues that affect them, how they validate information and find solutions. Therefore, those of us who work with communities must respect and integrate local knowledge into any programming or interventions aimed at improving their social, political, and environmental relationships. This study takes the position that engaging stakeholders involved in community violence reduction initiatives, plus contextualizing peace education for Southside Belize City, will improve the success of these community violence reduction initiatives. Drawing on these two processes, this research will be guided by the following questions. What lessons can peace educators learn about contextualizing peace education in an area facing community violence? What lessons can peace educators learn from stakeholder engagement process in an area facing community violence? In the process of learning, these lessons, I will capture the challenges and benefits as well as documenting the content and methods stakeholders believe peace education should focus on within the Southside Belize City context. So why take the stakeholder engagement route? Peace in the context of community violence can be defined as a condition in which individuals, families, groups, communities, and our nations experience low levels of violence and engage in mutual harmonious relationships. Therefore, it makes sense to approach the contextualization process by engaging stakeholders, since they can provide input and encourage discussion on what peace means for them. They also become more aware of their agency and power to change conditions. Cooperative and harmonious relationships are strengthened as political power is shared equitably between those making decisions and those on whose behalf they are made. It also leads to the identification of priorities and appropriate response to problems. Stakeholders bring knowledge and resources. They have networks They know the systemic inequalities and interconnection that contribute to violence. They are aware of community structure and dynamics, including collective efficacy, which is mechanisms residents use to control behavior that can lead to violence. They also have lived experiences regarding violence and bring diversity, difference, and distinctive ways of knowing, such as the local conceptions of peace and violence. In other words, peace educators should start with what the community knows and what they identify as their needs. They know their context best. So why Belize? Considering Belize's small population, both geographically and population-wise, these numbers are noticeable, and community violence is impacting many people in many ways. In the past decade, the highest number of homicides have been recorded in Southside Belize City, where I will focus my research. Most of the community violence is attributed to organized crimes and gang rivalry. There are several factors already identified in the literature for why community violence exists. Of note is that almost 60% of victims and perpetrators were male. So an author who did research in Belize on gangs in Belize suggests that this is influenced by cultural values in Southside Belize City, essentially how men and boys are socialized. The ideas of masculinity directly influence some of the male-on-male violence. I also found that most formal peace education initiatives target the primary school population, implemented through the curriculum or implemented as extracurricular activities. However, there are two key problems. One, these stakeholders currently operate in a disjointed manner. The state simultaneously try to implement peace education while implementing very draconian measures, resulting in brute force within these communities. Therefore, I believe that contextualizing peace education is the direction to take this research. Peace education is concerned with the control, reduction, and elimination of all forms of violence. It provides learners with the tools to critically analyze the root of whatever conflicts, injustices, and/or violence they are experiencing. The contextualization process will lead to determining what peace education should look like for Southside Belize City, outlining content and methods that would work best in that context, incorporating local knowledge and local experiences to give insight into factors contributing to community violence, highlighting also priority areas for intervention, and identifying collective goals and shared responsibilities to improve interdependence. Why contextualize peace education? Peace education, just a moment. Yeah, so why I contextualize peace education? Peace education is concerned with the control, reduction, and elimination of all forms of violence. I already did that. So I will move to methodology. So this is like just a short overview of the methodology I will use. And in line with the post-development theory, the methodology is framed by action research, specifically community-based participatory research. Action research differs from traditional research approaches because it seeks to improve social issues by understanding it from the perspective of those who experience it. Plus, it is grounded in locality where the problem is taking place. In action research, evaluation and reflection are key, as it leads to participants to take a new course of action. Community-based participatory research is problem-centered. Researchers rely on participants to look critically at their social conditions to change them. So in community-based participatory research, all contributors are valued equally, thus creating an environment of co-learning. Individual perspectives contribute to identifying what the main problem is and what potential solutions can be reached. Also, each brings a different type of expertise and resources that can be used to address complex problems. A qualitative design was selected for this study because it allows me to conduct an in-depth exploration of the meaning assigned to the social problem. I have conducted a virtual stock-taking exercise to determine what kind of programs and stakeholders are currently involved in community violence reduction in Southside Belize City. First, I will recruit about 18 stakeholders using a snowballing sampling method, on which this is in my research, but as I go along, I will probably find other methods to be able to make sure I capture a wide cross-section of stakeholders. I familiarize myself with the work they do and have one-to-one discussion on community violence, their visions, their solutions, and their ideas for peace education. Second, I will engage in a collective process of brainstorming, identifying priority areas for intervention, and design of a localized peace education template. Finally, stakeholders will develop an implementation plan with clear direction of how to improve their levels of interdependence. My role is to facilitate these processes. Once I have completed all these stages in the community engagement process, I will analyze the data analysis using an inductive approach. In responding to what is this data telling me in regard to my research question, I expect to be able to give other peace educators insight into how contextualization could be done in a community facing high levels of community violence. Now I want to share some key insights into the planning and development of the proposal. While each proposal design is different and each of us face distinct personal lives, I do believe that my experience developing this proposal during a pandemic can help others as well. The first thing I want to mention is that fine-tuning the topic is a lengthy and sometimes frustrating process. Be prepared for various drafts and change of topic or areas of focus. I also believe that we must think of our personality in the early stages of the design. By this, I mean how our experiences can give us access or create barriers to access the people in the field. For example, my previous experience as a military personnel helps me to know the physical layout of the community, but it can also create a situation where I am not trusted by those who knew me in that capacity. This can certainly cause you as an insider outsider on in between. Also, funding. As students, we often don't realize that we don't have the money to conduct these studies. For me, thinking through this project led me to a smaller sample size as well as a smaller group of stakeholders. Essentially, the methodology was influenced by my funding situation. Because I am focusing on community violence, I had to always bear in mind the ethical responsibilities and guidelines regarding this type of study. The pandemic also made me think different about how this will be done in the field and how groups of people can come together to provide this data. The advising process was lengthy and very detailed. Although it seemed intimidating at times, I was able to respond to critical questions that helped me to shape my proposal more coherently. Finally, I want to mention that as you develop your proposal and get ready for your research, it is vital that you are aware that your personal life and personal challenges can impact your progress. For me, as a family man and part-time student worker, I often felt constrained by this. I would be remiss if my training as a mental health counselor, I didn't tell you that it is okay to seek help if needed. I want to finalize by reminding you to get help from other students or professionals and be open to their constructive criticism. Be also willing to accept your flaws, as most of us haven't done a PhD before. Take breaks when feeling overwhelmed or after each draft to separate a space between you and your work. It also helps to take courses that are in line with your project so that you stay current with new research, or to simply refresh your knowledge of topics you might have studied in your previous years in academics. Thank you.
Thank you, Candido, for this presentation. And so yeah, in your bio, you didn't mention that you have a military background. So that's really interesting.
Oh, yeah. I spent a few years, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we need more military people in the field of peace education.
I was one of the peaceful one, though.
That's why you are doing your PhD and open to critical analysis. Anyway, right. So it was a great presentation. I would like to open the floor for some questions, clarifications, if any of our participants have. So yeah, please go ahead.
Candido, this is Larissa. Can you hear me?
Hi, Larissa. My goodness. I can hear you.
Candido, sincere congratulations, sincere congrats with your success, with your progress. I remember our chats during the induction training course and all obstacles we discussed, which we have foreseen that time. Yes. Therefore, I am sincerely proud of you. I am sincerely proud of you. I had an academic leave and I resumed my studies just a few months ago. So I am again back to the initial stage.
I am,
So
well,
sincere congratulations, Candido, sincere congratulations on behalf of our group.
I am so happy to hear that you're back, Larissa. It's really, really, really difficult. I'm not kidding you. And in the first instance, when I got my supervisor, the first thing she addressed was mental health. So that is so important, so important, you know.
Absolutely, I know. I spent 7 years in Afghanistan and nearly 4 years in Iraq. I just left Baghdad. So I am at home right now trying to catch up with my research proposal, and I know exactly what you mean regarding the mental health. That is number one priority in our life. Thank you so much for highlighting this aspect. Thank you, and good luck, sincerely good luck for the rest of your research. Thank you so much. Great presentation.
Thank you so much. All the best.
Hi, Candido. It's Mickey Mikiko.
Hi, Mickey.
It's so long time. It's also same. Sorry to intervene because of the Larissa and myself, and then Candido started at the same time, and then unfortunately it didn't really have any difficulties like Larissa had, but still difficulties not really having a supervisor at the UP supervisor, and then I'm just also back to the almost the square one, and then try to finish my proposal. So I really congratulate you. Have done a tremendous job, and then you are progressing. We have to follow. One thing is I heard you also have a supervisor, external supervisor, 2 external supervisors. It's not the UP supervisors, or maybe I misunderstood the information.
No, my supervisor is at UPs. I had the Professor Heather Curtisia, Dr. Heather Curtisia, and I had my co-supervisor, which was Mariana Mukherjee.
But both are with UP still.
Well, Eliana, no, she's not at UPs again. She's not at UPs again. Yeah, but both of them along the way helped me, and they never like back down or anything like that. Even though I had a lot of difficulties, you know, they helped me along the way.
I see. One question I just want to say, because your research question is very solid, you know, focusing on 2 manageable research questions. And then also you explained how to approach conceptualization using visual. Did you also use this visual in your proposal and also presentation at the defense of your proposal?
Yes. Well, this is not the presentation I use. It's part of the presentation, but I had to add some other stuff and take out stuff that, you know, I didn't want to make it long. But I really wanted to touch the areas of the lessons I learned from, you know, the process I went through.
I see. And then this last question, sorry, just last question. And then you said that because you have all the framework of a constraint, and then you formulated methodology, it's more like a realistic, based on your all the limitations you faced. So I think it's a very good approach at thinking this framework, because otherwise we tend to be over-ambitious in terms of methodology and then sample size and the way to collect the data and the way to analyze it. So it's a very useful. Also, I have to take into consideration of all the constraints you mentioned, because everybody's working many different things. Thank you so much. And then congratulations. Hope to see you soon.
Okay, Mickey. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mickey and Larissa. It was good that friends are catching up on Zoom, and also some of the questions regarding the PhD research is also getting answered. So thank you, Candido, also for answering these questions. Nicole, do you have any questions or clarifications? I know your topic is in the peace department as well.
Yes, yes. Thank you very much, Candido. I had to step out for just a moment. We have an infestation of army ants coming into the house.
Oh
so
my gosh, yeah.
I had to quickly close all the doors.
Yeah, they.
So I missed in the middle part of the part of the methodology, but I do empathize with you about the importance of mental health and also of changing certain things in relation to this pandemic. And I was wondering with your with the consent forms and things like that, things to get consent, how you managed to do that virtually, because that's something that's
well, you know, I formulated I formulated, well, I added to what was recommended, but the thing is, I didn't really know these things. You know, I had to get outside help. And you know, even if it's your friends in the same field, or you can seek out a different professor at a different university, especially one who is versed in research, you know, PhD research and methodology, you know. And so I look at the different examples, and I, based on my context, I formulated these, and I submitted. And you know, I still have to do some tweaking and make it up to mark, you know. But I feel good about it, you know, and I got good feedback as well.
And right now you're back in Belize, right?
No, I actually right now I would have been back in Belize, but because of the pandemic, I am with my family in Nova Scotia, Canada.
Okay, okay. Yeah. Because one of the things that I also empathize with when you were talking about the mental health, and I feel like for me, I am in Costa Rica, and I am luckily in proximity to where I'm doing my research, although it really doesn't matter since I'm doing my research virtual at this point. But the mental health aspect, the kind of the loneliness that we as doctoral candidates kind of feel is something that is real, and
it is real.
We tend to I've been reading articles about how to, coping with doing research in the pandemic, and everyone's like, oh, you know, take this time to do your literature review, or take this time to do your research. But it's more than that. It's being able to collaborate and to talk, and to also consider the mental health, and realize that it's the data that we are collecting, or we will be collecting, will be different than if we started last year, and accepting that, and being able to, my supervisor also is Heather, and she was, kind of saying, she's like, remember, one of your contributions to the field is, is this virtuality of it, and and kind of keeping that in mind, that even though we may not be doing what we first set out to do,
exactly,
we are still making some type of a contribution.
Definitely, yeah.
But thank you.
I'm happy to hear you have Heather too.
Yes. So.
Heather is in Canada as well, right? I mean, she's not in Costa Rica, that I know for sure.
No, I think she's in Toronto.
Ah, okay. That's great. Good. So, Candido, I just had a question. So, are you planning, or were you planning to do your field research, or data collection or questionnaires? Did you have to go back to Belize City, or you would have done it from Canada itself?
Well, what I am doing with my data collection is that I also want to abide by the guidelines, but also want to do some interviews in Belize, right? And those that I can't do face-to-face because of the pandemic. I have access through my job in Belize at the Ministry of Education to conference rooms and stuff like that, and which I am trying to, well, I'm collaborating with them, but I also want to do it via online as well, you know. So it's a mix, basically. It's a mix. We have to, during this time we have to give and take, you know, and we have to, well, just once I believe we do it ethically, you know, follow the guidelines.
Of course, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank you. Do we have any more questions or clarifications from Candido?
Well, actually, I also have a question regarding your questionnaire. Can you hear me? Because
yes,
my
I can.
connection
Yes,
is
please.
unstable.
I can hear you.
Candido, I'm wondering if you have attached a text of your questionnaire in the annex of your proposal. I believe you have described that in the text. At the same time, have you also prepared the annex with it? What would you recommend to do regarding the questionnaire?
Well, actually, yes, Larissa, I had annexed everything that I did, my questionnaires, everything. I put it in the Excel format. I did it in Excel format, and then I annexed it to my proposal as well. So
excellent, thank you.
Yeah, everything I submitted.
How many pages, if not a secret, in total without bibliography?
I can't remember exactly, but I think it's within the required for my type of research that I submitted, you know. I can't be specific because I don't have my work in front of me. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, but
no worries, no worries.
But
I was
still,
just wondering.
After this, I can go back and look at my entire proposal, and I can like send you and give you feedback some more if you don't mind.
I am wondering about the pages per chapter. I understand different topics, different contexts, etc.
Right.
But I'm wondering about the number of pages per chapter. Certainly the literature review will be a bulky one. But the first chapter, introduction, I'm planning to keep it you know, not too many pages in total, but literature review will be 60% perhaps of this proposal. Right. What is the percentage of literature review?
Well, to be specific, I can't give you a definite answer right now. Seriously, I can't give you a definite answer, but I had to make sure that I only include stuff that is like necessary, because I could have added a lot of stuff, you know. So I cut down and make sure that I shape my proposal, my literature review, my my theoretical framework, methodology. I make sure I cover the areas I needed to cover, but I also make sure that I didn't just go on and on and on and explaining stuff that wasn't relevant to my work, you know. And the supervisor will definitely make sure that you do that.
Thank you. Clear. Bina has done the same. She mentioned she cut lots of pages as well at the end. So
Yeah.
I will try to focus only on the core and relevant stuff, not going beyond the boundaries. Thank you for that tip. Thank you.
Yes, yes. Thanks.
Thank you, Candido. So if we don't have any more, oh yeah, Mickey, please.
This is not like the Candido ones. Candido, congratulations. We will follow your progress, and hopefully you have a chance to present again your progress. And I just have to say thank you so much for doing it, because and then I have to say, because Larissa and myself and others really participating at doctoral seminar now. It's online and very useful. We found it very practical and useful, and then we are making a slow but a progress. And then we already looked at the several proposals. I haven't really looked at the Candido, but I think it's a shared yours. I think it's sorry, I can't really pronounce your name. Pratish, right?
Pratyush.
Yeah. I think it's your, with your consent, I believe. Your proposal was circulated, so I know your proposal, and I'm really looking forward to hear your presentation. I think it's next week, right?
No, I already did it. It was on Tuesday.
That was like overlapping our doctoral
no problem.
committee presentation, and I'm really hoping. And then next week, Tuesday, is Felipe. So I can really see our friend is also progressing. It's really great encouragement for all of us. And I'm not really sure how you're going to continue doing this. Maybe twice a week, it's good, or maybe once a week would be even better. Because we really also want to participate, and hopefully at a certain time we can present our proposal, maybe even before going to the committee meeting and get some feedback, and then like dress rehearsal. And then present it. But I see it's great. This is a great idea, and thank you for taking initiative. And then hopefully I can see more, not just only proposal presentation, but I want to hear actual research progress of each candidate, so that we can really learn from obstacles and achievement as well. Thank you.
Great idea.
Thank you, Mickey.
Pratyush, I missed your presentation. Would you be so kind to share a link to it?
Yes, I think the presentation was recorded. Yeah, I think Maria Teresa is going to share it soon. She'll be doing it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you everyone. And as Mickey said, next week on the 22nd, we have Felipe's presentation, which is on rural tourism in Latin America, or it was tourism in rural Latin America, sorry. So please join us for that presentation as well. And I think he's going to present on his findings as well, because he's already in his final year. Okay. And he has already done those field work and field research as well. So I hope he's going to include some of his results in his presentation as well.
Yes.
All right. Thank you all. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Pratyush, for moderating, and thank you, Candido, for sharing.
Yeah.
Thank you guys very much for participating as well. Thanks, Pratyush, for everything.
Bye-bye. See you guys. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.